Hi everyone, we're Team 2. I'm Wayne Smith,
And I'm Doreen Morgan.
and we're presenting our analysis of Lady Gaga's Born This Way music video. The song was critically acclaimed by the LGBTQIA+ community with its gay subcontext and messages of queer pride. As the famous pop icon Lady Gaga stated, Born This Way is about being yourself, loving who you are, and being proud. According to Judith Butler in Gender Trouble, Feminism and the Subversion of Identity, Gaga's performativity in music supports the argument that self-love and humanity without prejudice are essential. Through her music and visual performance, she implies being queer is biological and is predetermined at birth, as the song titled Born This Way indicates. However, according to Judith Butler, no one is born a gender at birth. We do gender socially through performativity, and this is seen on page 24. Although Gaga incorrectly claims that gender and identity and orientation are biological, her Born This Way video still challenges heteronormative stereotypes and promotes harmony among marginalized identities through elaborate visual symbolism by including the concept of shape-shifting and critiquing masculine fragility.
Thanks, Wayne.
It was perceived that this infamous moment in life is not temporal, it is eternal. And thus began the beginning of the new race.
The purple and green colors emanating from Gaga in the clip symbolizes the shedding of heteronormative social stigma. By not using pink and blue and reverting to other colors, and by the action of throwing the colors off, she symbolizes the subverting expectations of gender, which debunks the theory that females are to be feminine and weak and males should present as strong and masculine. The colors preclude her physical transformation, a shapeshift. In Binos for a Bisexual Revolution, Shuri Eisner states, in a world that presumes one is born a certain way, male, female, gay, or straight, and cannot change, both bisexuality and transgender offers the options of mutability and change, thus shapeshifting. Page 241. Culture associates mind with masculinity and body with femininity. According to Judith Butler in Gender Trouble, Feminism, and the Subversion of Identity, the mind not only subjugates the body, but occasionally entertains the fantasy of fleeing the body's embodiment altogether. Page 17. Thus, this photo may symbolize a separation of gender identity from the female body because the majority of features on the head appear to be more masculine and appear to be separating.
To gravitate instantly and unwaveringly towards good. But she wondered, how can I protect something so perfect without evil?
Thanks, Doreen. As we continue on with our analyses, one prominent message that is expressed visually through the music video is the idea of fragile masculinity. In Donald Hall's book, Queer Theories, he states that heterosexual genders and even heterosexuality itself are fragile, on page 7. In addition, Judith Butler also says that the field of power, structured in part by the paralyzing gesture of dialectical appropriation, exceeds and encompasses the axis of sexual difference. In other words, a power hierarchy is created and reinforced through the majority, in this case, white heterosexual men, through verbal expressions. In the scene we just watched, Gaga, as a representation of femininity and queerness, reclaims this power through the image of her riding and shooting a gun, an activity that is traditionally seen as masculine, and it explicitly states that masculinity is flawed and bendable.
It doesn't matter if you love him. L-H-I-M. Just put your paws up. 'cause you were born this way, baby.
Again in this scene, we are shown how Gaga mocks heteronormativity through this visual. As Gaga is walking around the people bowing down, we can infer this feeling of dominance. As you also noticed in the clip, everyone begins standing up on her cue. Gaga, as a symbol of femininity, is given power.
My mama told me when I was young, we're all superstars. She pulled my hair with my lipstick on.
Thanks, Wayne. This performance symbolizes the dismantling of heteronormativity and a unified expression that is independent of gender identity and sexuality. Diverse dancers promote intersectionality and continuously symbolize unity that disregards gendered and sexual restrictions, and promote a unified existence that is void and independent of gender and sexual identities. Also, there are no limits to gender identification. Butler states in Gender Trouble that multiple identifications can constitute a non-hierarchical configuration of shifting and overlapping identifications, which questions the importance of having one meaning for gender identification. Butler, 89. This scene symbolizes an experience outside the gender binary, where we are all existing as human beings void of gender identity. Our counter-argument, by suggesting that someone could be born this way, Gaga is giving gender presentation too much weight and significance rather than acknowledging that gender is constructed. Although Lady Gaga does have all the inclusion, she incorrectly thinks that gender presentation and orientation are biological or born this way, as the title suggests. However, according to Butler, gender is a social construct and cannot be biological or inborn. Therefore, gender politics rely on a unification of different identities without succumbing to heteronormativity. A unified existence invalidates diversity and may possibly reverse queer and gender liberation movements.
In conclusion, Lady Gaga brilliantly advocates for a world void of prejudice and discrimination through her beautiful and colorful symbolism in Born This Way. Lady Gaga gives fair representation and a voice to queer individuals around the world so that they grow up to embrace their gender and sexual identity. If we ignore her pitfalls and champion her as a rights activist, we would be ignoring important issues within the LGBT community that fight for a fair and peaceful world for all. Thanks.
Thank you.